After losing a drinking game, I was required to kiss a male present for 1 minute. I turned my gaze to the bodyguard beside me. Shen Ji, you do it, I said, swirling my glass. Shen Ji's throat moved slightly. I'm afraid you'll be at a disadvantage, miss. I chuckled softly, tugging his tie to pull him closer to me. I commanded him, close your eyes. After losing a drinking game, I had to kiss a male present for 1 minute. Most of those present were spoiled rich kids, all waiting to see me make a fool of myself. I glanced around at the men, and finally fixed my eyes on Shen Ji. Shen Ji was my bodyguard, standing right beside me. Of course, he counted as one of the males present. Shen Ji, you do it, I said, swirling my glass. This works too, miss. You're really something. The bodyguard is so lucky. No wonder miss you would rather choose a bodyguard than any of us. He really isn't bad looking. The crowd chattered. Mostly sarcastic remarks. I didn't care, keeping my eyes on Shen Ji. Are you willing? Shen Ji wore a black suit, low-key and restrained. He half-crouched down, his face partially exposed under the light, revealing striking, captivating features that were oddly alluring. I'm afraid you'll be at a disadvantage, miss. I chuckled softly, tugging his tie to pull him closer to me, meeting those cold yet seductive phoenix eyes. I didn't hesitate to kiss him. Shen Ji's lips were different from what I expected. I thought they'd feel cold, but they were unexpectedly warm and soft. We remained stiffly pressed together, neither of us closing our eyes. Shen Ji's long lashes pricked my eyelids. Close your eyes, I commanded him. Shen Ji's throat moved slightly as he obediently shut his eyes, but the man's dominance awakened in that moment. By the time I realized what he was doing, it was too late. The one who had been passive just moments before had now taken control. Wild and assertive. When Shen Ji let go of me, he lowered his gaze, his voice low. Sorry, miss. My mind was dizzy, filled only with the image of Shen Ji kissing me. Having lost the mood to keep playing, I practically fled the bar. The cold wind finally began to cool the heat on my face. Shen Ji went to get the car, wrapped in my trench coat, half my face buried in a scarf. My lips still seemed to carry Shen Ji's scent, leaving me restless and confused. Lost in my thoughts, I suddenly spotted a few cats in a corner near the bar. The smallest one, unable to compete with the larger cats, could only cry helplessly. On a whim, I picked up the kitten, not caring how dirty it was, and cradled it in my arms. To my surprise, it had heterochromia to different colored eyes. Just as I was debating whether to keep it, Shen Ji walked over against the wind. Miss, do you want to keep it? Startled, I blurted out, it's filthy. Who would want it? Here, deal with it. I shoved the cat into his arms and slipped into the car. Maybe the aftermath of that kiss was so strong I actually dreamed of Shen Ji. After a night of dreams, my temples throbbed with pain, and I accidentally sprained my ankle while going downstairs. My mood worsened at the dining table. Zhu Qi and my father's new wife took turns, charming him, making him laugh heartily. Miamian, Dad is going to watch ACI's dance performance with your Aunt Wen later. Will you come? My father affectionately called me by my nickname, trying to win me over. I don't like watching circus acts, I said flatly, as soon as the words left my mouth. The atmosphere at the table shifted instantly. My father's expression darkened and he snapped. Yuan, stop causing trouble. Go to your room and stay there. I didn't want to see their faces anyway, so I left the table without finishing my meal and went upstairs. Feeling unwell, I had no interest in going to the bar. I decided to take the day off. I don't want to go out today. You have the day off? I called Shen Ji. The line was silent for a moment before Shen Ji replied with a simple, cold okay. After the family of 3 left, the villa fell quiet again. I went downstairs to grab a bottle of wine and returned upstairs to drink slowly. Outside the floor-to-ceiling window, spring was fading. The sunlight stung my eyes. I don't know how long I drank, but just as the bottle was nearly empty, a hand appeared out of nowhere and snatched my glass away. Miss, drinking harms your health. You're becoming more and more audacious, I said, slapping Shen Ji's hand away. He didn't dodge and his hand immediately turned red. The floor is cold. Shen Ji set the glass down and turned to pick me up from where I sat on the floor. Even in such a core-challenging position, he showed no effort. His breathing remained steady. After placing me on the bed, he handed me a box. What is this? I was a bit tipsy, my face flushed. Happy birthday, miss. Shen Ji then produced a small cake out of nowhere. So? Someone still remembered my birthday. I scoffed softly and opened the box. It was a kitten from yesterday. Now bathed, it looked absolutely beautiful. Borrowing flowers to offer to Buddha, are you? I patted his head, finding him more likable and less aloof than usual. But thank you. Since my mother passed away, I hadn't dared to keep a cat. This kitten felt like fate. As long as Miss is happy. Shen Ji crouched in front of me, almost at eye level. Make a wish, miss. Maybe it was my imagination, but his voice sounded hoarse, as if he caught a cold. Shen Ji, how long have you been with me? I wasn't in a hurry to blow out the candles. Over half a year. Seeing I wasn't wearing shoes, Shen Ji placed his knee under my feet as a cushion. Do you miss home? It seems like ever since I asked you to be my bodyguard, you've been by my side constantly. I've never seen you ask for a day off. The alcohol made my speech slow, my tone softer than usual. It's just not the right time yet. Shen Ji's voice was as cool and steady as his personality, always carrying an air of authority. In truth, his appearance and his demeanor were quite different. He looked like someone who knew how to have fun, huh? So mysterious. I grew curious. Did you run here after doing something bad? What if I did? Shen Ji looked up at me. Staring at his crow feather-like lashes, I felt a stir and masked my sarcastic smile. Even if you did, you wouldn't harm me. Because you're one of the few people in this world who treats me well. If I lost you, I'd have nothing left. Actually, what I was thinking was, with looks like that, how dare you commit a crime? Are you trying to help the police boost their stats? Shen Ji watched me silently for a moment before changing the subject. Miss, have some cake first. I'll give this wish to you. Tell me what you want. I rubbed my temples and sank into the soft bed. There's nothing I want to ask for. My wishes can only come true through my own efforts. Shen Ji stood up, casting a large shadow over me. I'll keep it for now and redeem it with you later, miss. Fine. After sharing half the cake with Shen Ji, I fell into a deep sleep. The next day, as I was leaving, Zhu Qi hesitantly stopped me. Big sister, can I borrow Shen Ji for a while? Why should I? I didn't give her a friendly look. Driver Zhu took dad, mom took sister Lin, and I don't know how to drive. My teacher suddenly said we need to go to school. Zhu Xi's voice was soft and sweet, her almond-shaped eyes sparkling. When the car arrived at the dance academy, Shen Ji, as usual, got out to open the door. As the second young miss, she naturally had the right to the service. But how could she trip and fall into Shen Ji's arms on such flat ground? Seeing the entangled black and white figures, a vein throbbed at my temple. Shen Ji showed no particular expression, his tone as serious as ever. It seemed the temptation of soft jade and warm fragrance had no effect on him. When we arrived at the bar, he came to open the door for me. I misjudged the distance, and my forehead barely brushed against Shen Ji's palm as he shielded me from the car roof. I wiped my forehead discreetly and glanced at him. Maybe you should be Zusi's bodyguard instead. I'm particular about cleanliness. If she touches what's mine, I don't want it anymore. Shen Ji fell silent for a moment before taking off his coat and tossing it into the trash. Miss, I'll go take a shower. Seeing his demeanor, my anger unexpectedly subsided. Forget it, I'll forgive you this once. Aren't you cold? I asked him. The spring chill was sharp. Though the sun was bright, the wind still carried a cold bite. With his trench coat off, Shen Ji wore only a thin shirt underneath. My eyes involuntarily drifted to his waist, restrained by a black belt. How could a man have such a slender waist without appearing frail? I wondered if Shen Ji had ABS, miss? Shen Ji called me several times. Seeing me unresponsive, his brows furrowed slightly. Does your foot hurt again? He crouched down to check my injury, but I dodged him. No. My ears flushed red as I pulled a card from my bag and threw it at him. Go buy some clothes later. Don't say I mistreat you. Shen Ji held the black card I gave him, a faint, elusive smile playing on his lips, his expression dreamy and distant. Lost in my own inappropriate reverie, I had no mind to ponder Shen Ji's reaction. It wasn't until we entered the second floor of the bar, and a cup nearly smashed into my head that I snapped back to my senses. Shen Ji had intercepted it just in time. Looking at that dark figure shielding me, I felt an immense sense of security. Seems someone's had enough of a peaceful life. I glanced toward the men in the corner, my eyes narrowing to needle points. A woman running her own business always runs into a few ruffians. That's why I needed Shen Ji. Not to mention, the establishment I ran catered to all kinds of people from various walks of life. Is the young miss all right? Shen Ji looked me over, and once certain I was unharmed, he swiftly apprehended the troublemakers. What are you putting on airs for? Yuan. Your rich and powerful mother is dead. Don't think I don't know the Fu family looks down on your father. If you know what's good for you, you'd beg to get married already. Stop acting so high and mighty. The man tried to say more, but Shen Ji kicked him several meters away. No matter how down the Yu family is, it still holds a reputable name in Yicheng. Moreover, Yuan is deeply favored by old Master Fu. Even if she truly had no power or influence, wouldn't I, Song Xian, be able to protect one woman? I didn't know when Song Xian had arrived. The Song family held the top position in Yicheng, and even nationwide. Few dared not give a Song's face. Song Xian's name indeed worked like a charm. Those scumbags shot me a glare before scattering like frightened birds. What are you doing here? I asked Song Xian. Although my bar covered a wide range of services with comprehensive entertainment facilities, It wasn't enough to have young Master Song patronizing my business so early in the day. Naturally, I came to find you. I heard about what happened at the bar the other day. If only I had been here. Next time there's a situation like this, call me, alright? Song Xian looked at me, his stern expression finally softening slightly. I took off my jacket and handed it to Shen Ji. It was just a joke, nothing serious. You didn't need to come specially. Song Xian's tone was flippant as he glanced casually at Shen Ji behind me. That won't do. Can't let certain people seize an opportunity. He ruffled my hair, a smile not reaching his eyes. The Z's have a new farmstead that's quite interesting. How about I take you there someday? It must be said that Song Xian was exceptionally outstanding in every aspect: looks, family background, education. Countless women in Yucheng adored him, including Zuchi. But both Song Xian and I knew perfectly well that ours was merely a relationship of mutual use. However, since he was willing to play along with this act, I had no complaints. All right, I agreed. What happened to your hand? Song Xian lifted my hand, his thumb stroking the back of it, sending shivers through me. I instinctively tried to pull my hand back, but he didn't give me the chance. Young miss, didn't you need to discuss liquor matters with the manager? Shen Ji's tone was as usual, but his large hand had already landed on Song Xian's wrist. From his whitening knuckles, it was clear Shen Ji was using considerable force. The two men were locked in a subtle confrontation. A low chuckle escaped Song Xian's throat, and he reluctantly released me. Petty, he said, though it was unclear whom he was addressing. Ignoring my sharp gaze, Shen Ji grabbed my wrist and led me straight to the men's restroom. For a moment, startled shouts filled the restroom. Shen Ji, are you out of your mind? I quickly shut my eyes. Shen Ji paid me no mind, holding my wrist under the faucet and washing my hand. Once the commotion died down, I slowly opened my eyes, raised my bag and hit him. Are you psychotic? Shen Ji let me hit him without so much as a frown. He meticulously dried my hands, even blowing on them. The young miss has mysophobia. She can't be touched by outsiders. Hearing this, I froze, stunned. I couldn't refute it. I had indeed said something like that to Shen Ji before. I looked up at the man before me. His already devilishly handsome features seemed even more pronounced now, tinged with a faint, indiscernible anger. How was this any way for a bodyguard to act? Where do you get the nerve to shove Song Xian? I demanded. When Shen Ji had pulled me away earlier, he had almost knocked Song Xian over. Judging from the grunt Song Xian let out, he must have been hit hard. Shen Ji remained silent. Angrily, I snatched my hand back. Shen Ji, are you trying to get yourself killed? Shen Ji continued to watch me silently. I was at a loss. I felt like I had raised a block of wood. After discussing business with the manager, I went to rest in the penthouse suite on the 10th floor. For some reason, I couldn't shake the feeling that Shen Ji's words in the restroom were meant to tease me. The more I thought about it, the more irritated I became. I couldn't sleep. So I spent the afternoon playing games in the esports room next door. By 6 in the evening, I was getting hungry. I called Shen Ji to ask him to buy me something to eat, but no one answered. Feeling my rumbling stomach, I figured he was also on the 10th floor, so I got up to look for him. This floor was reserved for my personal use, so aside from cleaning staff, no one else came up here. Shen Ji's room was right across from my suite. I knocked, but there was no response. Trying the door handle, I found it unlocked. No one was in the living room. I took a few steps inside. The bedsheets were rumpled as if someone had been sleeping there. I was frowning at Shen Ji's discarded clothes when I heard a sound from the direction of the bathroom. I knocked on the door. Shen Ji, are you in there? No answer. But that sound, young miss? I was still standing there dumbly when the door suddenly opened. Shen Ji lazily rubbed his hair, his peach blossom eyes half closed as if he had just woken up, his voice low and husky. My gaze swept over him, my cheeks burning hot. Just as I had imagined, Shen Ji had an excellent physique. An overwhelming masculine aura washed over me. Shen Ji looked at me calmly. Did you need something, young miss? I averted my face and said coldly. Are you deaf? Didn't you hear me calling you? Shen Ji pointed to the Bluetooth earpiece in his ear and ended the call. My apologies. Young miss, don't let it happen again. I threw the clothes from the sofa at him. I'm hungry. Accompany me. To get something to eat. I rarely visited the food street. I didn't like messy, chaotic places, but today I really craved the snacks here. Before we had even walked halfway down the street, Shen Ji's hands were nearly overflowing with bags. After finishing what I was eating, I picked up a piece of pastry and asked him want some. He had been following me around all this time without so much as a sip of water. Thank you, young miss. Shen Ji reached out to take it. Let me feed you, I blurted out. Shen Ji seemed surprised. His gaze settled on my face, and his Adam's apple bobbed sharply. Feeling his stare, I grew flustered and angry. I'm just afraid you'll dirty my things. Are you eating or not? Shen Ji lowered his eyes with a faint smile, said nothing, but leaned down. My face stiff, I fed the pastry to Shen Ji as I withdrew my hand. My fingertips brushed against something soft and damp, realizing what it was. I felt my nerves nearly snap. Disgusting. I said disdainfully, I insulted him. But Shen Ji didn't get angry. Instead, the smile at the corner of his lips deepened, leaving the food street to retrieve the car from the parking lot. We had just turned a corner when a man and woman suddenly darted out from the shadows. Shen Ji swiftly hooked an arm around my waist, hoisted me onto the roof of a car parked by the roadside and reassured me, don't be afraid, young miss. With that, Shen Ji deftly took off his jacket and subdued the knife-wielding man in no time. Seeing this, I quickly jumped off the car and covered Shen Ji's eyes. The woman was almost completely naked. I was afraid Shen Ji would get a sty. It wasn't until we reached the police station that I noticed Shen Ji was injured. Earlier in the dim light, with his dark clothes, I hadn't seen it. The wound looked deep and was still bleeding. I was frantic, trying to pull Shen Ji to the hospital. But Shen Ji acted as if nothing was wrong, gently patting my back. No need to worry, young miss. It doesn't hurt. We still need to give statements. Even in this state, he was thinking about giving statements. Biting my lip, I was so angry I nearly cried. While the police were taking down the details of the incident, I went to a nearby pharmacy to buy bandages and saline solution, intending to clean Shen Ji's wound temporarily. But I never expected that when I returned, Shen Ji would be surrounded by a crowd of people. I eyed those suddenly attentive people with suspicion and crouched down to tend to Shen Ji. As wound. Don't trouble yourself, young miss. I can manage, Shen Ji said, tearing open his sleeve to reveal the bloody gash. Sit, I pressed down on his restless hand, my tone cold. I'm not heartless enough to ignore this. While wrapping the bandage, I regretted not letting Shen Ji handle it himself earlier. Staring at the disastrous-looking dressing, I braced myself and said, let me redo it. If it hurts, say something. Shen Ji chuckled softly. The young miss wrapped it just fine. After painstakingly redoing the bandage, I sighed in relief and prepared to stand up. Who would have thought that from crouching too long my vision blurred and I tumbled straight into Shen Ji's arms. Flustered, I pushed Shen Ji away, my face burning hot enough to fry an egg. Here I was, utterly embarrassed, and Shen Ji was still laughing. That laughter, resonating from his chest with a devastatingly sensual quality, combined with his face, was simply criminal in its allure. Just as I was about to lose my temper, I noticed several elderly gentlemen had entered the police station. Their mere presence seemed to command authority over others. These gentlemen approached Shen Ji to shake his hand, showering him with endless praise. Shen, one old man started, but Shen Ji cut him off. It's getting late. I need to escort the young miss back. Uncle Lee, if you have any matters, you can contact me by phone. Oh, the man called Uncle Lee glanced at me, revealing a meaningful smile. All right, you go ahead and attend to your business. You know that person? I asked Shen Ji once we were in the car. Sort of, he replied dismissively. Seeing his lack of interest in discussing the earlier events, I didn't press further. After accompanying Shen Ji to the hospital, we returned to the U residence. Before going to bed, I received a message from Song Sion. He sent me an address, saying he'd pick me up tomorrow. After some thought, I texted Shen Ji. Shen Ji, tomorrow, go to the school and pick up Zuchi. Bring her to this address. I forwarded him the address Song Sion had given me. Shen Ji replied quickly. What does the young miss intend to do? Why so nosy? You just need to do your job. I frowned. The typing indicator flashed in the dialog box for a long time. Finally, Shen Ji only sent, all right, young miss. That ended the conversation. Only after Shen Ji had left did I notify Song Sion to come pick me up. Today, I deliberately wore a red dress that exposed a large portion of my shoulder blades and collarbone. Therefore, when Zuchi arrived, what she saw was me leaning against Song Sion, my arms hooked around his neck. The alluring dress, paired with my porcelain skin, could stir imaginations even without any explicit actions. Seeing the undisguised anger on Zuci's face, a smug smile touched the corners of my eyes and brows. However, Song Sion was acting strangely today. He actually pushed me away, and his body stiffened noticeably upon seeing Shen Ji. I had been deliberately ignoring Shen Ji, but I couldn't help stealing glances at his expression. If Shen Ji's usual expressionless state was considered cold, today he was visibly displeased. Even his phoenix eyes carried a sinister chill that made one shudder. For the first time, Shen Ji left my side without permission. Watching him drive away, a heavy feeling settled in my chest, but I couldn't utter a word. Having lost the mood to provoke Zuchi further, I changed clothes and planned to eat something to replenish my energy. Zuchi was also at the dinner table. I sneered inwardly. Since she hadn't left, there was no harm in putting on another act. The forced intimacy was uncomfortable, to the point where I failed to notice something wrong with the drink. Did you put peaches in this? I asked angrily. I forgot. Sister, you're allergic to peaches. Zhu Qi feigned a frown, but the look in her eyes betrayed her. She did it on purpose. The allergic reaction manifested quickly. Red rashes appeared on my hands, unbearably itchy. Returning to my room, I endured the discomfort and called Shen Ji. I thought he might not answer, but he picked up after just a few seconds. Shen Ji, I had an allergic reaction. Zhu Qi did this, I said. After the call connected, there was silence on the other end. Knowing I was at fault, I had to be the first to lower my head. I had only taken one sip of the drink. It wasn't serious, but it was good enough to play the victim. Wait, Shen Ji's tone wasn't pleasant. He didn't even call me young miss. Shen Ji arrived quickly, carrying a bag of medicine. I sat on the porch swing, smiling happily. Where did you go? Shen Ji gave me a cold glance. You can still laugh? Are you really that angry? I stretched out my hand for him to see. Look, it's all red. And here, I said, pulling open my collar slightly. Serves you right. Shen Ji averted his eyes but began applying the medicine anyway, his actions contradicting his words. I happily let him fuss over me. With Shen Ji by my side, the discomfort didn't feel so bad anymore. Shen Ji, you're so good to me. Shen Ji remained silent until he finished applying the medicine. Then he said, young miss, please don't do things that harm yourself while trying to hurt others anymore. I'll help you. You can do whatever you want. Just don't force yourself to do things you dislike anymore. I stared into his warm, sincere eyes, feeling a sudden stir in my heart, and smiled faintly. How can you help me? You're just a bodyguard. But thank you, Shen Ji. I leaned forward and hugged him. In this world, only you, this fool, truly treat me well. I only stayed at the farmstead for one day because I found it boring. The moment I returned to the U residence, my father unexpectedly slapped me. Did you hit your sister? He roared. The slap left me dazed. A metallic taste spread in my mouth. Only then did I notice Zhu Qi with a bandage wrapped around her wrist, looking genuinely injured. Did Zhu Qi tell you? I sneered. Zhu Qi isn't as scheming as you. I overheard it by accident. Yuan, I knew you were cold-hearted and vicious like your overbearing mother, but I didn't expect you to do such things right under my nose. So what if I did hit her? I licked the corner of my mouth, staring coldly at the man before me. I will hit her. Not only will I hit her, I'll hit her shameless mother too. Before I could finish, another slap landed. Zhu Qi hypocritically came over to help me up. Uncle, don't hit sister. Sister didn't mean to hit me. Propping myself up on one arm, I inadvertently caught sight of the necklace around Zhu Qi's neck and couldn't help but yell. Who said you could wear that necklace? Take it off, you wretch. As I spoke, I tried to grab Zhu Qi's necklace. My father moved to kick me away, but Shen Ji, who had rushed over, shoved him aside. Are you all right, young miss? Shen Ji cupped my face, his eyes filled with concern. Shen Ji, I sobbed uncontrollably, clutching his sleeve tightly. They took my mother's keepsake. Help me get it back, please. Shen Ji scooped me up in his arms, gently stroking my head in a comforting gesture. All right, a mere bodyguard dares to lay hands on me? Do you have a death wish? My father, trembling as he held his waist, stood up and threatened Shen Ji. Out of respect for you being the young Mrs. Father, I've been holding back. But now it's clear you don't see her as your daughter at all. Don't blame me if I'm no longer polite. A faint, ambiguous smile touched Shen Ji's lips, his tone cold, deep and quiet, yet chillingly sharp despite its low volume. You, my father scoffed with disdain. You can try, Shen Ji said, wasting no more words on him, then turned his gaze to Zhu Qi. Do I need to do it myself? Pale-faced and terrified by Shen Ji's fierce glare, Zhu Qi immediately took off my mother's necklace without another word. After retrieving the necklace, Shen Ji turned to pick me up. Young miss, don't cry. We got the necklace back. I curled into Shen Ji's embrace, my whole body aching. Shen Ji, let's leave. I don't want to stay here. Young miss, bear with it a little longer, Shen Ji said, seeing my constant sweat, and dared not delay further. At the hotel, Shen Ji called a doctor who confirmed it was menstrual cramps and minor abrasions. Only when the medication took effect did I gradually regain consciousness. Shen Ji was sitting by the bed head, staring at me intently. Still hurting. That's when I noticed Shen Ji's hand was resting on my lower abdomen, gently massaging it in a rhythmic motion. I shook my head. Shen Ji, I'm sorry you got dragged into this. Offending my father won't do you any good. Even though the Yu family isn't top tier in Yucheng, dealing with one bodyguard is more than enough. I frowned. Young miss is worried about me. Shen Ji gave a low chuckle. Maybe you should leave, I said. Although I was reluctant, I wanted Shen Ji to be safe. The air fell silent. As long as it's not truly because you're tired of me, I won't leave you. Focus on recovering. Leave the rest to me, all right? The man's features were rebellious and untamed, his dark eyes as deep and still as an ancient well. Despite his devilishly handsome and seemingly frivolous appearance, he exuded a profound sense of aloofness. At this moment, he also showed a rare tenderness. My heart pounded violently a few times, and my face flushed slightly. For the next few days, Shen Ji stayed by my side almost constantly. Just as I had mostly recovered, Shen Ji suddenly disappeared. In his place was Song Xian. "Why is it you?" Song Xian shrugged. "Commissioned. To protect you." He said it lightly, his tone carrying his usual flippancy and arrogance. Ever since the farmstead incident, Song Xian hadn't actively sought me out. It was normal for someone like him, a young master, to shift his affections every few days. I had only gotten close to him to provoke Zuchi. Now that he had lost interest in me, we were barely acquaintances. "By whom?" I asked, puzzled. "You'll know in a few days." It seemed Song Xian wasn't planning to tell me. I sent Shen Ji many messages, but he didn't reply. For the past year, we had hardly been apart. His sudden disappearance now left me feeling lost and uninterested in everything. On the 12th day after Shen Ji left, Zuchi sought me out on her own. I had nothing to say to her, and wanted to avoid her. But Zuchi called out to me unhurriedly, "Sister, don't you want to know what your bodyguard is up to?" Reason told me not to believe her, but my body froze. Zuchi flung a stack of photos at me. The person in the photos was indeed Shen Ji. Unlike his usual black attire, he looked strikingly different. While handsome, I was more concerned about the woman leaning against him. "Sister, it seems your bodyguard has abandoned you." Zuchi added fuel to the fire. Although I desperately wanted to refute it, the woman in the photo was indeed dressed head to toe in luxury goods, clearly someone of wealth and status. The photos left me despondent for days. To make matters worse, the bar was causing trouble. After Shen Ji left, people kept deliberately causing disturbances, with harassers coming in waves. Song Xian helped me a few times, but he couldn't be by my side constantly. One day, I was at the bar as usual. Suddenly, a group of people barged in and started smashing things. The security guards at the entrance were outnumbered and easily subdued. Holding back my anger, I asked them, "Whom have I, Yuan, offended?" "Miss, we're just following orders. This property is being gifted by old Master Yu to second Miss Su to open a cafe. This property was left to me by my mother. Since when did it become yours?" I laughed in disbelief. "We don't care about that. We're following orders, just responsible for demolishing it," the leader said arrogantly, not giving me a second glance. Watching them systematically destroy the business I had painstakingly built, I could only call my grandfather for help. Grandfather was in Munich. While distant water couldn't quench a nearby fire, I truly didn't know who else to rely on. Another sound of shattering glass, accompanied by a sharp scream, and I saw the face of the newcomer. "Were you hurt?" Shen Ji took off his coat, wrapped it around me, and gently ruffled my hair. I stared at him blankly, almost thinking it was a dream. Shen Ji's hair had grown a bit longer. Dressed in a white shirt, he looked like someone I had never seen before. Behind him were Song Xian and a group of people. "Shen Ji, what is this?" I nervously pinched his sleeve. "I'll take the young miss somewhere else." "Leave this to Song Xian," Shen Ji said, not directly answering my question, and wrapped his long arm around me, pulling me into an embrace. Passing by Song Xian, Shen Ji's expression darkened. "I asked you to protect her, and this is how you do it." Utterly useless. Song Xian didn't look pleased either. "Damn it, Shen Ji. Why are you taking it out on me? I should have pissed you off to death back then." Shen Ji sneered. "Then don't come begging me to help you with my sister. I can't be bothered with your mess." Shen Ji, you dog." I didn't catch what Song Xian said after that. Shen Ji led me out of the bar. Inside the villa at Jinlingshuan, Shen Ji handed me a tablet. I finally learned Shen Ji's true identity, the Shen family of the capital, even more influential than the Song family. That's why Shen Ji had confidently said he would seek justice for me. He would make those who bullied me pay the price. "Sorry, young miss, I'm late," Shen Ji said, still kneeling on one knee before me. No different from when he was my bodyguard. "Shen Ji, you have such capability." He held my hand, his warmth steadily transferring to my cool fingers. "Why did you become my bodyguard and treat me so well?" Shen Ji chuckled softly. "I thought I made it quite obvious." He stroked my chin, his eyes deep and probing. "May I?" I didn't speak, answering him directly with action. "My young miss is truly wonderful." His words made me blush, my negative emotions instantly vanishing, replaced by a resurgence of my usual bravado. "Where did you go? You disappeared without a trace." Shen Ji affectionately nuzzled the tip of my nose. "Of course, to get revenge for you. And incidentally, retrieve a household register." "Who said I'd marry you?" I tried to wriggle free from his embrace. "If not me, then who?" "Song Xian." Shen Ji pinned me between the sofa and his chest, burying his face in the crook of my neck. Like a big wolf dog. And he dared mention Song Sion. You actually knew each other all along, didn't you? I said, annoyed. Our families are close friends. So you both played me? No wonder he dared to confront Song Sion. Song Sion likes my sister. I didn't help him. So he deliberately got close to you to provoke me. I dealt with him after the farmstead incident. Shen Ji's hand rested on my waist. And what about these photos? I angrily pulled out the photos Suchi had given me. You're even jealous of your future mother-in-law? I bit my lip in embarrassment. Miamian, Shen Ji came over to hug me. Marry me, alright? Not sincere enough. I won't marry, I said, burying my face in his chest, unable to suppress a smile. Shen Ji gently stroked the back of my neck. I've been your bodyguard for so long. Isn't that sincere enough? After registering our marriage with Shen Ji, he said he had a gift for me. Watching the news on the tablet about Xingyu Group facing bankruptcy, my mind went blank. You decide what to do. I'll follow your lead, Shen Ji said, ruffling my hair. Looking at his devilishly elegant features, my eyes welled up with tears. This man, it seemed, had been silently protecting me from behind ever since I met him. Strong, gentle, considerate. Thank you, Shen Ji, I said, wrapping my arms around his waist. Hubby? Call me hubby. Shen Ji persisted stubbornly. This man. I looked at him, amused, and spoke again. Thank you, hubby. Side story 1. Coming out of the boxing gym, I was startled by the man sitting on the curb. He seemed to notice me too, lifting his eyelids to glance in my direction. That was the first time I found myself staring at a man, unable to look away. The person before me, from head to toe, exuded an aura of devilish allure, especially those peach blossom eyes, both deep and intense. Contradictory yet perfectly balanced. Noticing his injuries and labored breathing, I found myself walking toward him. Rich kids getting beaten to death by sparring partners was a common sight, something I'd grown accustomed to. But this time, I felt compelled to meddle. When the man heard my proposal for him to become my bodyguard, he laughed unexpectedly. His voice, cutting through the darkness, felt strangely comforting. You want me as your personal bodyguard? Afraid he might think I couldn't afford it, I tossed a set of luxury car keys toward him. Don't worry, name your price. I'll pay, and then some. The man lit a cigarette and silently watched me for a moment. Amidst the swirling smoke, I nervously watched as his eyes narrowed slightly. Between puffs, he stood up and casually took the bag from my hand. All right. He agreed. What should I call you? I asked. Shen Ji, the man replied. My name is Yuan. The man opened the car door for me, a smile in his eyes. Understood, young miss. 20 Side story 2. Male lead's perspective. The first time I saw Yuan, I was in a sorry state. Song Sion, on the old man's orders, had suddenly shown up with people to beat me half to death, forcing me back to the capital. After it was over, that bastard Song Sion was still laughing, saying to call him again if there was similar work in the future. He'd had it in for me for a long time. The past year in Nanjing had been relatively comfortable. I was thinking maybe I should just give in and go back as the old man wanted. While I was pondering this, a young woman suddenly approached. Late at night, seeing me covered in injuries and probably because my gaze was fierce too. She looked a bit scared, but she still struck up a conversation. I didn't know any wealthy heiresses, but she looked like the type cradled in the palm of someone's hand, delicate and soft. Looking at her made one want to tease her. I knew I was done for. I hadn't even finished one cigarette before I eagerly agreed to be her bodyguard. Being Yuan's bodyguard was harder than I imagined, mainly because Yuan fit my taste perfectly, and I'm no saint. She always asked me to help her pick out dresses. Yuan's shoulder blades and legs were beautiful and lethal. After becoming her bodyguard, the frequency of my cold showers skyrocketed. Sometimes, I really wanted to quit, especially after finding out she was pursuing Song Sion. I'd never been so annoyed. With that grandson Song Sion, and he was always deliberately provoking me. I'd always planned to take it slow, like warming a frog in water, until I was caught at the fashion show by the daughter-in-law the old man favored. During the time I was confined, I kept thinking about Yuan. That girl looked domineering, but she was actually a little crybaby. Would she be overthinking things again? After some time passed like this, I finally managed to persuade the old man, only to unexpectedly learn she was planning to confess. To who? To Song Sion. When I rushed back, Song Sion, probably scared, explained the whole story to me. So, she'd been scheming against me all along? I chuckled helplessly. So be it. As long as she didn't like someone else. Yuan wasn't exactly obedient. She always said, who cares if I'm obedient or not? I look obedient enough. That's true. So deep down we're a perfect match. I'd already taken the girl to meet the old man, and she still hadn't said she liked me with her own words. Seeing that a tough approach wasn't working, I had to pull out my trump card. Miamian, you still owe me a birthday wish. Yuan's eyes looked tired and unfocused. Say you like me. I captured her chin and kissed her. If you don't say it, bear the consequences yourself. Seeing I was serious, Yuan pitifully snuggled closer. I like you. Who do you like? I asked with a smile. Shen Ji. I like Shen Ji. The end.